Good evening and welcome to October's technically challenged live stream Astro Talk. Tonight we're going to be hearing from astrophysicist and astronomy children's author Eileen O'Hely. Eileen will be sharing with us snippets from her book 50 Ways to Die in Space. Those of you who joined us at Vastrock will remember Eileen getting a room full of adults to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So let's hope she can get everybody to be singing that tonight again. Just a little bit of housekeeping. ASV Christmas barbecue tickets will be on sale soon, and for ASV members we will also be releasing limited bookings for an opening night event up at Starview Farm, which will be occurring in mid to late November. Exact date isn't just quite locked in just yet, but we'll have tickets available shortly for that. Now, following Eileen's talk will be our very own Bill Stent, the telescope jet. Bill was going to go first because we had some issues getting Eileen, but she's here, so she's going to do her talk, and then Bill will follow with what's in the sky for November. Good evening, Eileen. I love the name. You will die.
Well, that's what the book's about, so I thought it was appropriate.
Now, I've got your screenshot stuff, so I'll hide in the background while you give your talk.
Okay.
And then you just tell me when you want your next slide or what page, and I'll slide it along there.
Okay. Will I be seeing the slides? Because I need to read the dialogue.
You should be able to see the slides. Let's test that, shall we? Can you see the slides now?
Oh, yes, I can.
Perfect. Yep. All right, we are good to go. Okay.
Line, really.
All right, let's get stuck into it. The floor is yours, Eileen.
Thank you. So thank you very much for having me. That's very exciting. This book is called 50 Ways to Die in Space, and as one reviewer said, it is what it says on the tin. There are 50 different ways that a human body would perish if you happen to put it in space unprotected, so outside a habitat or a spacecraft or a spacesuit. Rather than having humans, we have two different characters. We have this very down-to-earth guy, quite literally. He never wants to go into space. And we also have this little guy here who is fascinated by space and would love to go there, visit all those places. Now, I was a bit concerned when I read the book recently called Atmosphere. It's a fantastic book. It's all about theoretical female space shuttle astronauts. There were female space shuttle astronauts, but in this particular book, there are more of them. And one of the reasons that I will never go into space is because I learned from that book that astronauts have to swallow their own toothpaste. So there's not that amount of running water in space, and that is something that I just could never do. So we have our two little friends here. They don't have names. Well, they do. They've got secret names, but that's just for me, the publisher, and the illustrator, so we know who's who. And it starts off with this little guy. He's out there doing what you guys do as often as you can, looking up at the stars, having a wonderful time, wishing that he could go up there and visit. So why don't we all try? Can we put everyone's sound on for this bit? Because it starts with a familiar song that you might all know. I'll start it off. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond. A diamond? A star is nothing like a diamond, but it's so shiny and pretty and small. Stars are not small, they're ginormous. But they look really small. Take our nearest star, the sun. Wait, the sun is a star? Of course the sun is a star. What did you think it was? The sun? The sun, like all stars, is a burning ball of gas. Haven't you seen The Lion King? Not recently. But do you remember the bit where the three main characters are lying on the grass at night, gazing up at the stars, and the warthog says, stars are balls of gas burning millions of miles away? Ah, yeah, balls of gas burning millions of miles away. I remember that bit. that warthog's intelligence was grossly underestimated. So, the sun is a burning ball of gas. Yes. What type of gas? Hydrogen. Is it smelly? Can't say. No one's ever got close enough to the sun to find out. Why not? Because if you were close enough to the sun to smell it, you would die. How? Painfully. But how? The sun, like all stars, is ridiculously hot. How hot? 5, that's not very hot, and a half, that's a little bit warmer, 1,000 degrees. Oh, 5,500 degrees. That's decidedly toasty. Thank you. But that's just the photosphere. The bit just above the sun's photosphere is even hotter. It's called the corona. How hot's the corona? 2 million degrees. Youch! Do they even make thermometers that measure that high? They do. How hot is lava? Around 1,000 degrees. That's quite cold in comparison. Downright chilly. How close could I get to the sun before dying a slow and agonizing death? Oh, it wouldn't be slow. It'd be quite quick. That's comforting. It'd still be agonizing. Oh, not so comforting. The sun's corona extends for millions of kilometers. In 2022, a man-made spacecraft went inside it for a bit and survived. Yes. Would I survive? No. At first, you'd feel uncomfortably hot. Oh, it is a little bit hot. I am feeling breaking into a bit of a sweat. Then your muscles would cramp and spasm. Pretty soon after that, your organs would fail and you would die. I see. That's only if you were wearing a spacesuit. And if I wasn't wearing a spacesuit, you'd fry to a crisp instantly. So that's the first little section of the book. And it's I wanted to make sure that everyone reading the book or coming across the book knew that the sun is a star and also knew that it was quite dangerous to go there, and also that humans have been clever enough to invent a spacecraft that could actually go inside the sun. It's called the Parker Solar Probe, and it's done a couple of little journeys in there. I also find it quite fascinating. There's an unknown reason for why the sun's sort of the atmosphere, the bit further out than the photosphere, is 2 million degrees, where the photosphere itself, which is technically touching all the hotter bits in the middle of the sun, is only in the thousands of degrees. So I wanted to make sure that there was a little bit of knowledge that's put in there, and some surprising facts, and even some things that we can measure but we can't explain yet. So that might encourage other children who are interested, or adults who are thinking of a career change, or people who are just generally interested to try and probe a little bit further. No pun with the Parker Solar Probe intended there. If we have a chat, if there's somewhere you would like to go in space, if you would like to put that destination in the chat, we could maybe go a place or two there. And I'm sure Mark will tell me when I'm running out of time. But in the meantime, there is a bit of a game show in the show. So if Mark, could we please flick a few pages forward to our game show? Yep. Oh, here we go. Yep. So we're going to go to Venus. So the next page, please. So Venus, I always get very scared when I talk about Venus, because if you go there, you may die an excruciating death. And we'll learn about that now. We can have the next slide, please. Thank you. What's wrong with Venus? I thought it was Earth's twin. Earth's evil twin. Should really swap these guys around because it seems like the little characters. You're a very negative person, you know? Okay, if you're an astronomer on one of the thousands of alien planets we've found so far, looking for planetary systems outside your own solar system, and if your telescope pointed your telescope towards our solar system and identified Earth and Venus, you might think they were similar, twins even. Oh, yes, I definitely would. They're about the same size. They're both the right distance away from the sun's Goldilocks zone. The sun's what zone? Goldilocks zone. You know, the girl in the fairy tale who breaks into the bear's house, eats all their food and breaks all their furniture. She doesn't eat all their food. Papa Bear's porridge is too hot and Mama Bear's porridge is too cold. Precisely. But Baby Bear's porridge is just right. So that's why they call it the Goldilocks zone. Because it's made of porridge? No, because it's just the right temperature for planets to have water on their surface. What's that got to do with porridge? Well, it's more the fact that it's just right. Why don't they call it the wet zone? Because they call it the Goldilocks zone, okay? No need to get cranky. Anyway, if you're an astronomer from another star system and if you discovered Earth and Venus orbiting in the Goldilocks zone around the sun, you'd probably think both planets had an equal chance of supporting life. Would I? Yes, you would. That would make me pretty clever then. Finding multiple planets orbiting another star that are capable of supporting life, that would make you a laughing stock. I can't even read this. It's too small even with my glasses on. Thank you. Venus is the very opposite of a planet that can support life. But you just said, do you want to play a game? What game? This is a game I like to call, How Will You Die on Venus Today? I don't like the sound of this game. Contestant number 1, are you ready to play? Is that me? Of course it is. I'm not sure I really. Welcome back to the final round of today's episode of How Will You Die on Venus Today? We've already lost contestants 2 and 3 to spacesuit malfunction and alien attack. Oh, it's telling me my camera was unplugged. That's very weird. Click the camera button to turn that on. There we go.
You're back.
I'm back.
Yep,
Yay.
you're back.
How are we going timing-wise?
We're fine. Not a problem at all. We do have some places to go in space once we've finished.
Oh, we do? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I can't see. I've got my cookie notice up there, so I'll just continue without accepting. Oh,
I'll read them out to you once we finish this section.
Okay, cool. So am I back?
Yes, you are.
Is it all right? It says I'm in the show, but I just can't see me. That's very weird. Are you working?
We can see you, yes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, your camera seems to have frozen.
Oh, I don't know why it's done that.
It is a night for technical issues.
Well, I could just read out the bits and you can remember.
Let's roll with that. Yeah, let's roll with that.
So it's time for our carryover champion to choose from the final 3 buckets. Extreme heat, asphyxiation, or unbearable pressure. Which bucket are you going to kick? I don't want to kick any of them. That's not how the game is played. You have to kick a bucket. The clock is ticking. You've already told me about extreme heat, and I definitely don't want that one. That leaves asphyxiation or unbearable pressure. Time's running out. I can't take the pressure, so asphyxiation it is. No, that's not what I meant. Perhaps you'd prefer to play your gumboot card. My gumboot card? The one you won in round 1. Instead of kicking a bucket, you can trade your gumboot card in for the gumboot of mystery. What's the gumboot of mystery? If I told you that, it wouldn't be a mystery. But I can guarantee it contains a Venusian path to Nirvana. Nirvana! That sounds nice. I'd like to trade my gumboot card for the gumboot of mystery. Congratulations! Today you are going to die on Venus by sulfuric acid inhalation. What? I'm going to die? That is the name of the game. But you said Nirvana. Yes, Nirvana, heaven, the afterlife, all places you may go after you die. Okay, tell me about sulfuric acid inhalation. I'm glad you asked. On Earth, there are clouds of water vapor in the atmosphere, but the clouds in Venus's atmosphere are made of sulfuric acid vapor. Don't tell me, when it rains on Venus, it rains sulfuric acid instead of water? That's right, but the liquid never reaches the surface. It doesn't? That sounds okay then. I wouldn't want to die from acid rain. Agreed. That would be most unpleasant. Burns and blistering if it drips on your skin, blindness if it gets you in the eye, and severe exposure to liquid sulfuric acid would make you die. Lucky I chose the gumboot. Why? I survived. I didn't die on Venus today. The acid rain didn't get me. No. That's not how the game works. It isn't? No, the game is called How Will You Die on Venus Today? Of course you died. I did? Quite painfully too, but again, quite quick. But the rain didn't get me. No, it didn't. But as you breathed in the vapor from the clouds of sulfuric acid in the atmosphere, it burnt the tissue in your nose and throat. You would have had more and more difficulty breathing and felt a huge tightness in your chest as your lungs filled with fluid and you drowned in your own juices. Charming. What can I say? Space is a dangerous environment. So that's that section. Somewhere else people would like to go.
Yes, we've got, you can choose between Jupiter, Saturn, or Neptune to see the rings.
Oh, okay. So I didn't put too much in about the rings on Neptune, but Saturn's actually quite good. So we might try that one.
What page do I need to go for that one?
You need to go to, in the actual book, it's page 62, but it might be page 63 on yours.
Right, let me have a look. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Sound
okay.
waves.
Yeah, they're from Jupiter. So if we go the next page, we'll get to Saturn.
There we go. We're on Saturn.
Than Jupiter.
All yours again.
Thank you. Why Saturn? The rings, obviously. What? There's not enough water for you here on Earth? What's that got to do with anything? Page 63. Thank you. Saturn's rings are made almost entirely of water. I did not know that. You know, some of the things you say are quite informative. Let me guess. If I go to Saturn's rings, I'll die of sharks. Don't be ridiculous. Of course there aren't space sharks swimming in Saturn's rings, but if you go there, you will die. By drowning? No, although the rings are made of water, Saturn's outside the Goldilocks zone. So the water is frozen. Oh. Plus, the rings aren't solid. They're made up of trillions of particles ranging in size from ice grains to giant snowballs, bigger than a house. Are you saying the rings are made of ice cubes and snowflakes? Don't forget the ginormous snowballs. It sounds like a winter wonderland. Sure it is. if your definition of a winter wonderland is being impaled by snowballs traveling at 80,000 kilometers an hour. No, that's not my definition. Or maybe you prefer to slam into an ice sculpture at 60,000 kilometers an hour, squashing you like a bug on a windscreen and causing instant death. And if you look very carefully at the larger picture there, you'll see that there is another Disney reference. This one was not my idea. This was the illustrator's. And he's dressed our big blue guy up as Elsa, which is very pretty. I love the way he's got the shimmeringness on the dress. So we're just making our way through the solar system now. So Uranus is next, but if we wanted to go to Neptune, then that starts on page 75. Okay. Yeah, the one after that, please. Thank you. Does Uranus have a twin? Neptune, is that any safer? That depends. Do you like hugs? What do you mean by hugs? Oh, what have we done? Thank you. Cuddles, squeezes, nestling into another's embrace. Of course, everybody likes hugs. Only psychopaths like hugs from Neptune. I know I'm going to regret asking this, but why? Because Neptune will squeeze you to death. How? It doesn't have arms. Neptune is a gas giant. If you tried to land on Neptune, you'd sink through the atmosphere and keep on sinking until the gas was dense enough to support your weight. But even before the gas pressure below your feet became high enough to support your weight, the gas pressure above you and beside you would crush you from all directions. And you would die. Like in a garbage compactor? Eventually, but you'd be dead long before your body was squished to the size of a ping pong ball. I'd really squish that small? What would happen to me before that? First, the high pressure on your body would make it almost impossible for the muscles in your chest to move to allow you to breathe. Kind of like death by boa constrictor. Not that breathing in a mix of hydrogen, helium, and methane would extend your life in any way. As you fell deeper into the atmosphere, the spongy tissues in your lungs would contract, then collapse completely, killing you instantly. I have a friend who has a pet boa constrictor called Neptune. Now I know why. Thank you for sharing that essential piece of information with me. And that's Neptune. If we have time for Jupiter, then it is on page 46.
We do. We have time. We have time for Jupiter.
Okay. Is there anything else that people would prefer?
We've done. Well, Jupiter's on the list of things that people are curious about. So.
Okay. All right. Cool. I like Jupiter. Jupiter's a cool one. All right. So, page 47, probably.
Page 47.
Yeah. Yep.
There we go.
All right. Oh, actually, page 48 with yours. So I'm doing the numbers down the bottom of the thing. Yeah, okay.
There you go. The comments were, we always have time for Jupiter.
Excellent. Okay, so back with our little guys, our little yellow guy. How about Jupiter? I'd like to go check out the Great Red Spot. Would you? Yeah, it looks interesting. Sure, it's interesting if you think interesting is a good way to describe a giant whirlpool of swirling death. But it looks so pretty. Looks can be deceiving. That's right. Before we started this conversation, I thought you looked normal. Fine. Tell me about why I don't want to go to Jupiter's Great Red Spot. For a start, compared to the rest of the planet, it's very hot. red hot? Actually, for a planet with an average temperature of minus 110 degrees, the Great Red Spot is smoking hot at over 1,000 degrees. Yes, I know that the heat will kill me. It's not so much the heat that will kill you, which it undoubtedly will, but it's the heating process that could lead to your untimely demise. Could lead to my untimely demise. So I could survive this heating process? It's a moot point. Even if you did survive the heating process, you wouldn't survive the heat. Yeah. I remember what you told me about heat death. It's seared on my brain. Tell me about death by red spot. Death by Great Red Spot. Do you know why the Great Red Spot is so much hotter than the rest of Jupiter? If I did, I wouldn't be waiting for you to explain it to me. Acoustic waves. Given how big and awesome Jupiter is, its acoustic waves would be big and awesome and strong enough to kill you. Hang on, acoustic. Do you mean sound waves? Yes. You're saying sound waves can kill me if they're big enough? Yes. How? Sound is measured in decibels. Whispering is about 40 decibels, while classroom chatter is about 70 decibels. A plane taking off is 180 decibels, which is loud enough to burst your eardrums if you are too close and not wearing those big earmuffs that airport workers use. Even louder sounds can rupture your lungs, causing air bubbles to enter the bloodstream, and if they make it to your brain or your heart, let me guess, I die? That goes without saying. But here's the real killer. Isn't that the sound wave? You can be killed by a sound wave that you can't even hear. No way! Human ears can only hear sounds within a certain range of pitch. Elephants, cows, and even ferrets can hear lower pitches than people can, while dogs, bats, and dolphins can hear much higher frequency sounds. I love those pictures. They're so cute. So a loud enough sound outside your hearing range could kill you. But a dog or a ferret would know it was coming. Potentially. I don't think this page is even big enough for a canary. So we could take a dog and a ferret along as an early warning device, like a canary in a mine shaft, I suppose. How loud are the sound waves from the Great Red Spot? You don't know, do you? It's not completely my fault. Due to a lack of observational constraints on wave parameters. What? No one's actually measured the sound waves. Oh, but as I said, it's a moot point because at a temperature of over 1,000 degrees, yeah, I know, instant barbecue. So that's Jupiter, and I did try to contact people that work in the field that would potentially be able to say how big the acoustic waves are, but I think they thought I was a crackpot and they never got back to me.
That's quite interesting. I'm surprised no one's measured the sound waves on Jupiter yet. I know they've turned some of the rings of Saturn into music that you can download.
Oh.
I do have a question for you, Eileen.
Yes.
How do the kids at schools take this when you go to school and promote this book to them?
Well, I haven't been to many. Actually, I've been to high schools rather than primary schools.
How do they handle it?
Oh, good. So one school was they actually wanted the kids to be able to describe some pretty tricky sort of astrophysicsy concepts, and they wanted to use my book as a model on how the kids could do it using a graphic novel to try and explain difficult concepts. So that was very cool. They all giggle. They all want to see Saturn. They all want to see Jupiter. So you've got lots of potential members for the society. And at libraries, I've done a lot of work with libraries as well, and the kids do get very excited. But they also like the second half of my program, which is where we make air rockets and we actually blast them up. And it's very flattering when the kids put these little characters on their air rockets that they then send up into space.
That's actually very cool. Now, where can we get your book from?
So it should be at bookshops, or if it's not at your local bookshop, they will be able to order it in from you, for you, or else you can order it online. The publisher is called Hawkeye, so like a Marvel character, I believe, but Hawkeye book you look up, and then you can buy it directly online from there. And also like places like Booktopia, which I think went under, but now it's back. You can also get online as well. So yeah, just Google it and see what you can find.
If you can send me a link, I'll put it in the comment section of our Facebook page and our YouTube page later on, and let everyone know that's where they can get it from. I'm going to say thank you. That was so much fun. It's always fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, there we go. The ASV library has the book for sale, apparently.
Ooh.
So we have some copies, I believe. That's what I'm just being told by our secretary, Mr. Steve Roberts. Thank you, Steve. I wasn't sure. I thought we did have some copies, but I wasn't 100% sure. I know we had planned to buy some, so I'm glad we got them. So yes, if you're an ASV member, you can get one from the library. But yeah, that was wonderful. I meant to buy a copy of this when we were down at Vastrock, Eileen, and I didn't, so I apologise. I'm going to have to get one myself, that's for sure. It's wonderful.
I'm going to have to sign it for you too.
That would be good, yes. And it's a pity your camera stopped working, because the puppets, I think, really add to the stream, that's for sure. Makes it a lot of fun. That's all right. What I might do now is bring Bill in, who's been sitting patiently in the background. Bill's camera doesn't work as well, so everybody has to put up with seeing me. And what Bill does, Eileen, is that Bill comes in after our speakers and he gives everybody a tour of what's in the sky. And this month it'll be for October, November. So Bill's going to do that for us if he can get his screen to share. And
I suppose I should do that. Let's have a look.
And hopefully he includes some of your. We lost Bill. We have to wait for him to come back. Well, hopefully he includes some of your facts in what he does, what he presents. But we'll have to twiddle our thumbs for a bit. While we're waiting for Bill, is there another part of the book that's really interesting?
Yeah.
It's a very long book.
You do. It is quite long. It's quite extensive.
Because we only touched on.
We could do all the ways that you can die on impact.
Oh, what page would that be?
Die on re-entry. So let's start on page 137 for me.
137 for you. Bill has
back.
You're back. You have to wait a second now, Bill. We're going to have a quick look at how you die on impact.
That's entirely fine.
We weren't sure how well. Here we go. Is this it?
Yeah. So he's just said the most dangerous part of the voyage is when you return to Earth with the landing. What's so bad about the landing? Don't you just gently parachute down to Earth? In the history of manned spaceflight, there have been more fatal accidents on landing than on takeoff. Of course, Yes, there's so much that could go wrong. Like what? Say you're on your way back from the moon and your ship's navigation system breaks down. There's a high chance that you'll get the angle of approach wrong and end up bouncing off the atmosphere away into space forever, where your life support will eventually run out and you will die. Don't be ridiculous. Things don't bounce off the atmosphere. Yes, they do. Meteoroids do it all the time. Even Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon, thanks to the efforts of hundreds of engineers, scientists, and support staff, did it in a hypersonic aircraft when he was a test pilot. Luckily, he was able to maneuver his craft back safely. But the atmosphere is just air. How do you bounce off air? If you're going faster than escape velocity, 40,000 kilometers an hour, if you've forgotten, and your angle is too shallow, you can bounce off the atmosphere, just like skimming a stone across water. Scary. So make sure I take a steep angle for re-entry. Not too steep, otherwise your craft may burn up and disintegrate, and you will re-enter the atmosphere in a fireball of hot, burny death. That's not the angle I was going for. Even if you do get the angle of approach right, there's still a chance your parachute could fail. It happens more often than you'd think. Your craft could spring a leak and sink down to the bottom of the ocean where you would drown. Or, if you manage to get the hatch open and attempt to swim to safety, you could get skewered by a narwhal. It's unlikely, but possible, that if you drifted off course, you may touch down on an oil rig, incinerating yourself on the flame, or have a less than pleasant encounter with a turbine blade in an offshore wind farm. If you had really rotten luck, you might touch down in the middle of a naval fleet's military maneuvers and get hit by live ammo. And who knows what fate might befall you if you landed in the Bermuda Triangle. There's also the possibility that you could miss the ocean altogether and end up spearing yourself on top of the Eiffel Tower, or get run over by a garbage truck in reverse. So they're the ways that I had to die on re-entry, which I had to put quite a few in because I didn't quite have 50 ways to die in space. So I invented some crazy ways to die on re-entry.
Well, thank you very much, Eileen. Bill, are you ready?
I think so.
You're not going to get run over by a dump truck in reverse, are you?
Well, I hope not. That doesn't sound a lot of fun. But let's see. If I click on share the screen and select that, and then I go to what's in the sky.
It has absolutely been a night of technical issues. That's what.
Oh, it has been. Sorry.
Here we go. All right, Bill.
Okay. Can we see that?
We can indeed, and the floor is yours. I'll mute myself.
Right.
You should all listen along.
Right. Okay, so this is what's in the sky for late October, early November 2025. So getting towards the end of the year. Okay, tonight, this presentation, or at least I'm broadcasting this presentation from the lands of the Bunurong and Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation. That's because I'm slightly south of the Yarra. I wish to acknowledge them as the traditional owners. I'd also like to pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be listening or watching today. Tonight, we're going to talk about the general conditions in the sky at this time of the year, where the moon is, what the planets are doing. I'll talk about getting orientated at 10 p.m. at night, suggest some targets for tonight, visual and then photographic, and then I'll talk about stuff that the early risers might see. Then I'll wrap up by looking at things to look at for the month. Okay, so first, general conditions at this time of year. I've been very, very tired this week. I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably the daylight savings. That's one of those things that sucks twice per year. So we are now UTC plus 11 hours. However, do not send your hand controller to UTC plus 11. We haven't physically moved. You just set your controller to daylight saving equals yes. That will make things all correct. Now, the nights are getting milder, which is nice, but you probably don't want to put those dew heaters away just yet. There's quite a lot of dew still around, and so, yeah, you'll probably need them a bit. Sunset tonight is just after 7:30. Last week, that was about 6:30, of course. Dark is about 8:30. I think that's civil dark I'm going for there. I can't remember. Sunrise tomorrow is at about 6:45. Last week it was just before 6. The twilight goes until about 5:45 a.m. So that's when you have to pack up your gear. Now the day length is 12 hours and 45 minutes and some change. We're gaining about 2 minutes and 25 seconds of daylight every day. That's what happens down here around the equinox. So spare a thought for people living in Norway. They gain around about 20 minutes per, or at least parts of Norway, they gain about 20 minutes per night every day, which is nuts. Day length changes, like I said, most near the equinox, and it's all about those little sine curves. So next month, sun rises just after 6 a.m. and it sets at about just after 8 p.m. So the day length is stretching to nearly 14 hours. So I'm getting a lot of daylight fairly soon. It'll slow off by the solstice. So make the most of the night. Okay, for the loonies, the moon over the next few weeks. Full moon was just the other night, so last quarter is on Tuesday the 14th, so it's just a little bit less than a week away. Now, it's going to be about as far north as it goes. The declination of the moon is very positive. That means it's going to be very low in the sky. It rises at midnight and sets at noon, and over the following week, it will be a waning crescent, so it'll start to getting smaller. It'll get thinner and harder to see as it approaches the sun. And this week, you'll be viewing it in the morning, later this week in the early afternoon, then just before sunrise. But it's going to have to be very, very close before sunrise, because when it's very close, it's very hard to find. The new moon is on Tuesday the 21st, and it'll be a waxing crescent after that. So that's when you start looking west after sunset. It crosses the south on the 19th. So when you see that crescent, it will be setting in the southwest, not the northwest. First quarter is on the 30th of October, nearly in time for Halloween. It rises at noon and sets at midnight, which is the best time for viewing. And then over the following week, it's going to be a waxing gibbous moon, still in the south, so it'll be fairly high in the sky. Full moon. That's the next full moon, 6th of November. It's on it will be in the north on the 2nd, so it's going to be low-ish in the sky. And it's also close to the minimum distance because perigee is on the 9th, so it's a supermoon. I was reading somewhere some breathless article that's saying that there's 3 supermoons in a row this year. Well, it's like, well, yeah, that happens pretty much every time. And over the following week, it's going to be a waning gibbous moon. All right. Turning to the planets. Mercury, at the moment, sets, over the next few weeks. It's going to be, actually, this is for tonight. Mercury changes fairly quickly. So, yeah, this will be just for tonight and the next couple of days. It sets just before 9 p.m. All of this is Australian Daylight Savings Time now. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. It sets before before sunset. It's going to be difficult to find in the twilight, though. But if you can find it, it's directly below Mars, slightly north of west. So if you can find Mars, it'll be below that, fairly low though. Venus rises just before 6 a.m. So that's still in twilight. It'll come back fairly soon after that. Mars is near Mercury. It sets about 9:40. It moves extremely slowly, Mars, and it's because it's so low in the evening. It's probably behind a building or a tree. I can't see it from the Melbourne Observatory when I'm running the Troutland Sims. It will run into Mercury, or it'll meet Mercury on the 19th. That's going to be very low, very hard to see. If you can get to see it, it'll be rather nice. I'll talk about that later on. Jupiter rises about 3 a.m., so it's a great morning object. Saturn is probably still the best all-night object. It rises just before 6. It's pretty much in a good viewing position around about 8 p.m., depending on your trees. Yeah, it's pretty much the best it's going to be at the moment. It's just after there's opposition was a couple of weeks ago, I think, from memory. Uranus rises just after 11 p.m. It's between the Pleiades towards the Hyades. It's fairly, it should be fairly easy to find if you know where the Pleiades are. But you will need the right equipment. You'll need a Schmidt-Cassegrain or something like that to see it. Maybe a big dog. Neptune, it rises just after 6 p.m. So it's fairly close to Saturn, and they're going to stay close for several months still. Pluto, it sets just before 4 a.m. So it's past opposition now. It's still worth a shot if you've got the right equipment. And like I said before, Pluto's best identified by 2 different photographs taken on different days. You superimpose one over the other, and one of those dots will move. That's pretty much all you can see of Pluto from here. So getting orientated, this is at 10 p.m. facing south. We start with our 3 major signpost constellations. Oh, actually, we're not going to do that. We're going to do the Southern Cross. I don't know what happened to the on signals. The Southern Cross is one of our major signpost constellations. My bad. Okay, so here's our clock, and it's about 4:30 at the moment. So it's getting low in the south-southwest. This time of year is not great for people who want to look at the Southern Cross. You can still see Alpha Centauri, though. It's getting low. There we go. Right. Okay, Scorpius, that big backwards question mark in the sky, it's starting to set in the west. It takes a long time, several months, to set at the same time every night because it's a very, very large constellation. It takes several hours to actually set, and so it'll be still here over the next couple of months. Orion, on the other hand, isn't visible at all. It rises after midnight. So we've got some major stars. Canopus leads the cross around the clock. It's just at the moment it's very, very low in the southeast, so you might have trouble finding it. It's behind a tree or a plant or a building or something like that. Achernar, it leads Canopus and it's opposite the cross, so you can find it by that or either one of those methods. Fomalhaut is approaching the zenith, the infamous donut warning. It's very hard to point your telescope directly upwards unless you've got special telescopes or a decent mount. But Fomalhaut is approaching the zenith. Antares in Scorpio is getting Scorpius. I'll get it right. Is getting quite low in the west, but it'll be still there next month. Altair is one of the northern stars that we can see. It's getting low in the northwest. Vega is actually still on that diagram. It's very, very close to the to the horizon. Now, one thing I haven't talked about before is the square of Pegasus. I'm talking about this because it's kind of on the right side of the sky. It's an asterism. It's part of the constellation Pegasus, and it's in the northeast. Saturn, obviously, is in a very viewable position. It's just on the equator, just east of the meridian at 10 p.m. Okay, so visual targets. I've tried to mix them up a bit this month. 47 Tuc and the Small Magellanic Cloud are there. 47 Tuc is a globular cluster. So, of course, SMC is a companion galaxy. P Eridani, it's a double. It's in cat's eyes. It's very close to Achernar. It's about 1 degree north of Achernar. You can see it in your finder scope if you've got Achernar there. Theta Eridani is another double. It's otherwise known as Achernar. And M15, this is a bit different. It's another globular cluster. If you like finding globular clusters, it's not quite as bright as 47 Tuc. In fact, it's nowhere near as bright as 47 Tuc. But it's a good one to find, and it's very close to the meridian. Alpha Capricorni, or is it Capricornii? I'm not quite sure. That's a wide double. I have a vague feeling that's an optical double rather than an actual double. But anyway, it's wide, and it's a pair of binoculars one. So if you've got a very, very small telescope or a short focal length, you'll be able to see that as a double. If you've got a Schmidt-Cassegrain or something like that, you may actually have trouble getting them both into the same field. The Helix Nebula. If this is this week's challenge, if you've got a big dob or something with a lot of aperture, you might be able to get a glimpse of the Helix Nebula or something, a nebula similar. So give that a go. You might need a really, really big telescope. Go and check out the huge one, LMDSS. The Wild Duck Cluster is an open cluster. I've had a look at the Wild Duck Cluster. I first thought it was a globular cluster. Apparently, it's an open cluster, so it's very busy. So go and check that out and see if you can tell the difference. And M7 and M6 those ones are still there, just off the coast of Scorpius there. So they're always worth a look. I was trying to take a photograph of M6 through a new telescope the other day, and I was not able to nail the focus. Sorry about that. Beta Cygni, Alberio, one of my favourites, is still available. It's getting low in the northwest, but yeah, have a go at that. They're very, very pretty because one's blue and one's yellow. And obviously Saturn is everyone's favourite. So I don't know why I've got a B there. You can't really see much of Saturn with a binocular. That's a misprint there. Sorry about that. So okay, so that's the visual targets. Turning to the photographic targets, which I have unashamedly pinched from ASV members. This is again 10 p.m. Okay, so NGC 55, the String of Pearls Galaxy. It's from Oliver White. I think that's a couple of years old. They call it the String of Pearl Galaxy because of all that hydrogen alpha off to the left-hand side there. So it's stringing a bunch of nebulas there. 47 Tuck from Andrew Lead. This is a great shot. It's really, really sharp. So nice one for Andrew Lead. I have a question about that. Is that a second globular cluster in the corner there? Somebody should be able to tell me that. NGC 300, very nice open-faced spiral galaxy from Jeff Healy. M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. It is, well, we could see it from Sea Lake a couple of weekends ago. It's possibly still a little early for Andromeda. You'll either have to wait a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so before it gets higher at 10 p.m. or you can wait until midnight or something like that. Wait until it gets close to the meridian because it's extraordinarily low. Don't wait too long though, because Andromeda has a very, very short season here at 38 degrees south. This is the Corona Australis molecular cloud. It's a little bit late for it. It's on the western side of the meridian. There's a whole pile of stuff going on here. I've just mentioned 3 of the NGC objects that are in there. There's also the chandelier cluster, which might actually be one of those NGCs. I won't tell you who took that photograph because, you know, modesty, well, it's marked. Okay, NGC 253 and 288. 288 is the little glob in the top corner there. That is the Sculptor Galaxy, which is just approaching its best time about now. And Sculptor Galaxy is a really nice object. It's very recognizable because of the 2 stars that are just off the coast of it there as well. NGC 1365, lovely photograph from Jen here. I think it's a couple of years old. I pinched it off the website. If you're listening, Jen, hello. So that's the 1365 is close to the Markarian chain, I think. Oh no, it's the Fornax cluster that it's fairly close to. So it's a very cool looking galaxy. That the Veil Nebula. I think I might have had this. No, it was a different Veil I had last week or last month. This is Rick Zhang's. There are 3 NGC objects in the middle, 1 left, 1 in the middle, and 1 on the right. Here's a Helix Nebula. This is Ryder Burns, 7293. In fact, it's pretty much in its optimal position at the moment. 10 p.m. crossing the meridian. How are your meridian flips doing? You should be able to get a decent shot of that. That's nice. Now, I did show this one last month as well, but I thought I'd show it again because it's rising. It's coming into its best time at the moment, and I just love that photograph. That's a great shot from Kelly there. I love that blue. So, and I think she took it from her front yard. She can correct me if I'm wrong. Another Jeff Healy photograph, Dumbbell Nebula. It's a little past its prime, but it's still a good object to get. So that's it for that. 5 a.m. for the early risers. I've got my clock back. Okay, so the cross, it's past the lower meridian. It's starting to rise again. It's about 8:30 at the moment. So so it's starting to become viewable, but only as the sun's rising. So the cross is kind of not in a great position for the next few months. Come on, click. There we go. Scorpius is now gone. So that's Scorpius, as you probably know, Orion chases Scorpius around the sky. So Scorpius has scarpered, Orion has come back. In fact, Orion is approaching a meridian. Planets, there are 4 of them, I think. Saturn is almost setting tomorrow morning. Neptune is obviously with Saturn. Uranus is in the middle, and Jupiter is still rising at 5 a.m. So now the moon is probably going to stuff you up there as well, but that's fine. Venus, it will rise about 5:15 before the sun. So if you wanted to see Venus, you've got a chance, but it's not in this diagram here. So some random observations for final notes. 21st of October, Orionids are peaking. It's a fairly short season. It's about 5 days, I think. And at its peak, maybe 1 every 5 minutes. So look generally north after about 4 a.m. So it's one for the early risers. Obviously, it's best from a dark sky side. 19th of October, the Geelong show ends. So that's probably when the raffle is drawn. I think there's a pair of binoculars and a dob getting raffled. 19th of October, Mercury and Mars are together. Now, this is on the southwest horizon between about 8:30 and 9:15 p.m. So now Mars is the dimmer one at this point, and it's to the right of Mercury. You'll need to look at this in your app. By the 23rd, Mercury, Mars, and a thin crescent are going to be together. So that's going to be a nice photograph if somebody can get it. It's the same location and time. So it's sort of, twilight just after sunset. The 25th of October, there's the Wine Under the Stars at the Shiraz Republic. That's the place where you go from LMDSS, you go past Tulane and then over a ridge towards the east. It's a really cool ridge that you have to cross. So the trip is almost worth the whole effort. 30th of October, Mercury is its greatest elongation, which means that Mars is now below Mercury. So that is when Mercury is at its highest. 12th of November, Jupiter is stationary. Now that starts its retrograde, which means that it's coming towards opposition. Retrograde is the midpoint of opposition. No, other way around. Opposition is the midpoint of retrograde, and that's when Jupiter is closest and brightest. So that's not until the 10th of January, but the retrograde starts on the 12th of November. So if you ask an astrologer what they think about retrograde, Jupiter's retrograde, they will give you as many different answers as there are astrologers. And that is it. So I got a new yearbook from Colin. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bill. And does that make me a real astrophotographer now?
It was not a photograph that was taken with a phone. So yes, that makes you a real astrophotographer.
Do you know where it was taken?
Starview Farm.
It was Starview Farm, yes.
And
Starview
you used
Farm.
a 294.
I did. I used a 294 with an 8-inch Takahashi f2.8. Beautiful setup. It's lovely. Yes, the skies up there are amazing. Sorry?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming up and seeing what the place looks like.
In mid-November, I think late November, I think like the 20th or 22nd of November, somewhere in that range is when we're going to get members up there to have a night under the stars. It's going to be fun. Thank you for mentioning the raffle. I forgot all about the raffle. There is a raffle. Skywatch 6-inch Dobsonian and a pair of binoculars, and membership to the ASV and or extension of a year of your membership if you're already a member. The link is on our website. So if you go to the website, you'll see the raffle information on the pretty pictures that scan across the front, and you can click on it. It'll take you to the booking link for tickets. And Wine Under the Stars as well. Yes, it's a beautiful drive over that ridge. Bill, you're correct. And then you can enjoy a pizza and a glass or two of wine and look through some of the ACV volunteers telescopes at the night sky up there. I think there's still some accommodation left on site. You can speak to the owners up there about booking that. And again, link is on the website. Wait for the pretty picture of the winery with the stars to appear and wine under the stars, and you can book your tickets that way. 2 other awesome events we've got lined up. So Bill, thank you very much. Another great presentation. Eileen, thank you very much for your presentation as well. And next month we have Jackie Bondle from the, I want to get this right, she's a Senior Education and Outreach Manager at the ARC Centre of Excellence for Gravitational Wave Discovery and the ARC Centre of Excellence for Dark Matter Particle Physics. And she's going to be giving us a talk, and it will be in person at Mueller Hall, and it will also be streamed as well. Yay, I know, finally back. Sorry, I've been away obviously for work, and then we had Lightscape before that, so it's very hard to get, and Lee's had he had footy, so getting streaming stuff happening, it was all clashing and we weren't quite able to get it to happen. Lightscape didn't help either. So, but we are back next month, and we look forward to seeing everybody down at Mueller Hall for the next Astro Talk in November. Thank you everyone for watching.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Let me see if I can get the outro going. There we go.